I am Sarah. I read as Sora the Intuitive for Sky Messages by Sora. I am a tarot reader who specializes in past life readings. I also teach and mentor the tarot. I have two journals, one for learning the tarot and one for more learning yourself and deepening the connection with your deck. That one's a collaboration with Killer Pancake, who makes a couple of the decks I'll be reviewing. The reason I started this channel, and specifically this series, the tarot review series, is that I really want people to be able to have a connection. I want anyone who wants to do the tarot to be able to learn it. And a lot of times people get really frustrated because the first deck that they start using, they don't really connect with. And so I'm hoping that instead of getting frustrated or spending a lot of money on decks that they then realize they don't want, people can sort of start to learn what their style is, what theme they're looking for, what kind of imagery works for them, and help people find the right decks for them. I do believe that if there is a tarot deck out there, there is an audience for it. And if there is somebody who wants to learn, then there's definitely a deck for them. So this won't have star ratings. This won't be about what's good and bad. It'll be about the details, such as the guidebook, a level that it's good for, like basic to advanced. It will be, how close it is to the Rider-Waite or the Tarot de Marseille, or the Thoth for those who prefer that. And it will just give people a look and hopefully help them start to begin their journey. Or for those of us who have been on their journey for a while, but are thinking about new decks and testing out different things, give them a preview. So there are some of the decks behind me, but if there are any you're interested in, let me know. And let's get started. This week we are looking at the Cryptid Tarot deck. Starting off with the guidebook. I am borrowing this deck, but from what I understand, this is the entirety of the guidebook. And it is basically a list of who is featured on each card, which is really helpful if you are not familiar, or even if you are familiar. I mean, 78 cryptids is more, I think, than most people know. The illustrations are beautiful, but I do think that with some of the cards, I would need a little bit of a reminder, a refresher. The cards are kind of the popular size right now. Traditionally, tarot decks have been a little bit bigger, and that's where we're at right now, is a little bit bigger than playing card deck, but not the really large ones, and this is really nice with that. The illustrations are gorgeous, but for many of them, the meaning isn't obvious. They work with the names, like here's the Sun, Four of Pentacles has 4 pentacles. But where they do each have a picture, it's the kind of thing where it would be nice to have them line up a little. So this is a perfect example of an illustrator deck that it's not easy off the top of my head, or even having used it for a while, to tell which tradition or which line the creator comes from, but they're really, really cute. I love the Emperor. I love that these monsters or mythical creatures become these cutie pies. So I do really love this deck. It's easy to shuffle. The design is very cool. They're fun to read with, but it is hard for me not to read them as more of a playing card style or Oracle deck, which normally those two are so different, but because it's got beautiful illustrations, it is kind of easy to read as an Oracle deck. Look how cute he is. So as to who it's a good deck for, I would say if you are an advanced reader, especially an advanced intuitive reader, this would be great for you. Anyone who loves the quirky designs, I mean, I think a lot of time and effort went into they're so beautiful. People who are big fans of cryptids, especially because I feel like that will aid in the intuitive aspect of reading them, because you won't have to think so much as keywords as much as themes, and knowing your connection to each creature and cryptid would make it easier, I think, to pull information out of the card. Also, anyone who's memorized the key phrases, anyone who wants to add a little bit of a fun twist to your decks, I do think it's a really beautiful deck, and I think it's a fun one for people. So we are going to go into a quick reading for the collective. And feel free to comment how you would like to see these end of the looking at the deck deck review, which is kind of a misnomer because I don't rate them. I just kind of give my opinion and who I think it would resonate with. But if there's a different way you'd like to see it, I just like to do these quick readings at the end so that you get an idea of where I'm coming from and how a deck reads. So we'll do just a little message for the week. We've got the Star, the King of Cups, and the Chariot. So we may have had a little bit of a rough time recently. We may be recovering from a big shaky moment and allowing our hope and faith to carry us into the next piece. Starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, starting to see the good come in after things have been cleared out. The Star comes after the Tower, and it's hard for me to ever put that out there without mentioning that, because the Star is all about, hope, but understanding how that comes about it just feels so much more strong, or so much more impressive to me and more poignant. Knowing that this hopeful little guy coming up with the Star of Bethlehem above him, the North Star, that star, it has, it's mentioned in many religions and many books and different aspects, but the star that guides you home after the wreckage. That's why I feel like it's more poignant to mention it, that it comes after the Tower, because we need to understand, that this isn't just having hope day to day. This is having hope after something that feels like it could break us, and then we realize that that was exactly what needed to happen. So we have a very hopeful beginning, and then we have the King of Cups. And the King of Cups speaks to the balance between head and heart. He understands emotions. He's very empathetic, compassionate, but he's also very rational. And those two sides of him don't argue, they don't fight. He can look and say, well, this is perfect, this is where we need to be, while still allowing his feelings of loss, or disappointment from the things he thought would be how they were supposed to be. He can let both of those things live in the same place. And there's a very peaceful feeling when you are able to hit that point. So I hope that all that rockiness has led you to this place of calm, where you can move on to the next thing. And here with the next thing, we have the Chariot. The Chariot in my family's tradition speaks to understanding both that you can't control everything and that there are things you can control. Talks about reveling in the little decisions, knowing that sometimes it's the smallest choices that have the biggest, most profound effect. And allowing ourselves to push through any feelings of restriction or the feelings that we cannot do things because something outside of ourselves, whether that be bosses or government or just life in general, but the restrictions, the things that we aren't able to make choices of, in not letting those things keep us from being able to make decisions. Kind of understanding that within whatever framework we are given, we still have room to be individual and creative and do what feels right for us. So I hope that you were able to take the lessons and the things that are left, the solid things that are still here after your shakeup, and let them lead you somewhere stronger and to somewhere better. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Thank you.